Okay, so I don't know if you can read it. It's going to be upside down.
We don't know what this.
That's what we're teaching. It says justice and rights law.
Not gonna work.
Ask us how much we know.
We
about
don't
it.
know anything
Ask
about
us.
this.
Go ahead. Ask. Yeah.
We're trying, but Google is helping.
Yeah, we've can't pronounce certain words.
Statutes.
Statute.
I think that's
Yeah.
what Google says. It's how you say it, but
At
at least I can pronounce constitutional.
that's the only thing.
That's about it.
This is hard. This
We're
is really, really hard.
trying hard.
Oh, what
Okay, well,
all right.
you'll hear more, I'm sure.
We just finished placement. We taught. Yes. Got stuck.
Yes.
Because there was a proposal when we were trying to leave.
Yes.
It went well. No one died. No one threw up.
I think that we overestimated how willing the students would be to make movements and maybe should have went into smaller groups. So we are going to reevaluate what we do next time.
Hey. Okay, bye.
This is where I was going to put some videos that I had shot throughout this experience. And as I go to try and load those videos onto my laptop, the card isn't working. And since I'm bougie and super extra, I was shooting it on my Canon. And I can promise you that I'm not lying because I can still witness. I don't know if I can get you to see that. Hold on here. Oh look, me filming. Hi, look it. I'm talking, doing a bunch of shit that I had filmed for this, and I even looked pretty cute. Alas, it's not working, and it won't let me load it. And it's saying it's a different file or something. So you're gonna be stuck with me here on this shit computer camera, which is pretty crappy. And, yeah, so we're gonna talk about it here. So as I remember, what I was saying in the other video there was that our first lesson with Vanessa, it went well. It was good. It was different. It was hard for the kids. Like, they didn't even want to do, like, the machine or really even stand in front of the class was, like, a really big deal for them. So I think we went too hard, too strong, and should have probably worked up to letting them get in front of the class or done things more in groups so that it wasn't so individual, which I'm such an idiot because we literally talked about that in class, so I don't know why I chose not to do that. Other than that, like, it went okay. It was a lot of, like, trying to cover up and cover our asses so we didn't look stupid because they didn't want to do anything, so we ended up kind of, like, coaxing them a lot, asking them a lot of questions, trying to get them to, like, go near each other. Holy crap, they wouldn't even go near each other. It was very, like, I don't understand that. That was bizarre. I guess because they're a mixed class, they're not, like, typically, like, working with each other's. And, yeah. So, it went, like, okay. It wasn't the worst fail of my life. I think some aspects were okay with it. Vanessa was happy, but she also agreed on the whole, like, letting them do things individually and working up. So, for example, the machine, we probably should have had them showing their partners or in a group some of those machine movements, and then ask them to add to the machine in groups, like something a little bit more safe. Our mistake.
So we're done placement. Woohoo!
It went well. Vanessa loved it. I think it went really well. We
got them talking, which was hard.
They talked. They built towers.
Yeah. And then we weren't able to do one of our activities because Vanessa couldn't find her mat, so we kind of had to last minute change it, but it turned out really well. And yeah, I was happy.
Yeah. We didn't die. Woo!
Do you like my tie-dye wall? Look at how pretty. Okay, so our second, my second commentary that I had done, again, on this camera here, that's not letting me show you, I'm really angry, was right here, again, what? Again, with my cute little setup that I even cleaned my basement so I could film for you. Come on. Anyways, so that was the thing too. Our second lesson, I think the more that I reflect on it, the more I'm like okay with it. Like it was more chaotic, and having chaos in the classroom is something that I'm working with and I'm trying to get used to. Before I even came to Dread, like I was like, oh my god, kids can't do that. Like it was a very big realization for me that like chaos is good and that's how they learn, and like I'm totally okay with it now as long as they are getting something from it. And I was really not sure, so what we had them do is we gave them each, we were doing global government and like different ways of government and like leadership styles, basically a list of terms that she'd given us. They weren't getting tested on it, so it was kind of okay that like we were able to play with the concepts and not have to like feed them the material that they were gonna need for their tests or something, because that like makes me really nervous because I'm scared I'm not gonna give them enough because I'm still learning. Anyways, so we like split them up in these like different groups. So there was like totalitarian, oh my god, I can't even remember now. This is why we filmed the day after. Totalitarian, conservative, fascist, like all those different kind of forms of government, and they had to obey like the rules that came with it. So like one person was in charge, or oligarchy where like two people were in charge and like the others weren't. And then conservative where they had like a whole bunch of rules they had to follow because they were like these ancient rules given way back when, or something like traditional, how the conservatives are. And they had to build a tower, and then they had to like agree on a name for the tower. If you were like democracy, they had to all agree what to name the tower, how to build the tower. There was often a lot of voting, blah blah blah. So it was like interesting to kind of go around and see, like some kids were totally out of it because they weren't being involved because they were the totalitarian or like the fascist or like one of the governments where like it's just one person. So they were just kind of like sitting there twiddling their thumbs, like playing on their phone, like whatever. But it was great because when they were done, no one really won. All the towers kind of failed miserably, which was interesting and quite a comment on government. But no one really won. And as I went around, I had them each give one word to kind of summarize their experience of it. So it was really nice and interesting hearing that those kids who were playing on their phone, it was because they were bored, because they weren't allowed to do anything. And so then we kind of related it back to like our society and how would it feel if like you couldn't necessarily do things that you wanted, or you had to listen to only one person, or you weren't really allowed to do certain things that you wanted to do, or you couldn't help out, like things like that. So it was kind of a really nice connection. It was nice to see that kids that I thought weren't getting anything actually got something. And it was also cool, like the conservatives, these word things have been really hard for me throughout this entire thing. Conservatism, conservatists, whatever, they were saying they felt very restricted because they couldn't really vary from the rules that they were given, or like the way things are supposed to be. So that was really nice to see that they did actually get something. Vanessa was basically in love with the lesson. She was very happy with it. We didn't get to do one of the ones that we were gonna do. We were gonna do like that chicken game that like Mary and Kayla did, but we were gonna kind of alter it so that they were some type of government and whatnot, make it a race, see who won, more of like that kind of them understanding how that works. And Paula, I got a secret. I got a secret for you. Okay, so not only did we use Tableau, but we used it, and it was probably one of the most useful tools that we had actually used with them that got them involved. I know I wrote about that in my paper, so I'm not going to like really keep going on it because that would just be redundant, and I feel like this whole thing is already a little bit redundant because I talked a lot about this in my paper. But Tableau was amazing, and I think for these kids in specifics, doing something a little bit simpler was really nice for them. Plus, they were familiar with it because Vanessa does use it a lot. So again, I think it was a useful tool, and I'm sorry we broke your rules. But it turned out really well, and I was really happy with how it went, and we did pair it with other things, so it wasn't just Tableau or like Give Me Your Feelings about democracy. Like we, you know, kind of tried to fluff it up, change it up a little bit for you, so you wouldn't hate us too much. Yeah.
Up in the morning and out to school. The teacher is teaching the golden rule. American history and practical math.